Welcome to Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Well, today we are talking about the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, more specifically, letter 215, parts of letter 215, rather, because it's quite a long one, and I will probably be doing another video later. What parts of letter 215 do I want to focus on in this video? Why, it is what Tolkien has to say about fairy tales and allegory. Fairy tales and allegory. The reason why I'm putting these two together is because his view of both is somewhat linked. And you're going to see why when we talk about it. I've come across some comments on some of my videos or in my live chats about Tolkien's view of allegory and how Tolkien used it in his works. I always feel tempted to explain it, but then I stop and say, why should I explain it when this man has done it so much better than I have? So I'm going to let him speak about allegory for himself. Here we go. Letter 215 to Walter Allen of the New Statesman. The context of this letter, he is not going to a children's symposium because he is recovering from a surgery. I'm going to start here in the second paragraph. I have said all that I have to say about writing for children in my contribution on fairy stories to essays presented to Charles Williams. It has no special interest to me. When I published The Hobbit, hurriedly and without due consideration, I was still influenced by the convention that fairy stories are naturally directed to children, with or without the silly added waggery from 7 to 70. And I had children of my own. But the desire to address children as such had nothing to do with the story as such in itself or the urge to write it. But it had some unfortunate effects on the mode of expression and narrative method, which, if I had not been rushed, I should have corrected. Intelligent children of good taste, of which there seem quite a number, have always, I am glad to say, singled out the points in manner where the address is to children as blemishes. I had given a great deal more thought to the matter before beginning the composition of The Lord of the Rings, and that work was not specifically addressed to children or to any other class of people, but to anyone who enjoyed a long, exciting story of the sum that I myself naturally enjoy. I am not specifically interested in children, and certainly not in writing for them. That is, in addressing directly and expressly those who cannot understand adult language. I write things that might be classified as fairy stories, not because I wish to address children, children I do not believe to be specifically interested in this kind of fiction, but because I wish to write this kind of story and no other. I do this because if I do not apply too grandiloquent a title to it, I find that my comment on the world is most easily and naturally expressed in this way. I am not conscious of any repression exerted upon me by ordinary life, since large number of adults seem to enjoy what I write, quite enough to keep me happy. I have no need to seek escape to another and, possibly, less exigent audience. I hope comment on the world does not sound too solemn. I have no didactic purpose and no allegorical intent. I do not like allegory, properly so called. Most readers appear to confuse it with significance or applicability. I'm going to read this again. Most readers appear to confuse it with significance or applicability. Now I'm going to read the whole sentence. I do not like allegory, properly so called. Most readers appear to confuse it with significance or applicability. But that is a matter too long to deal with here. But long narratives cannot be made out of nothing, and one cannot rearrange the primary matter in secondary patterns without indicating feelings and opinions about one's material. The relation between The Hobbit and its sequel is, I think, this. The Hobbit is a first essay or introduction, Consideration will admit, I think, that it is a very just point at which to begin the narration of the subsequent events. To a complex narrative which had been brewing in my mind for years. It was overtly addressed to children for two reasons. I had at that time children of my own and was accustomed to making up ephemeral stories for them. I had been brought up to believe that there was a real and special connection between children and fairy stories, or rather to believe that this was a received opinion of my world and of publishers. I doubted it, since it did not accord with my personal experience of my own taste, nor with my observation of children, notably my own. But the convention was strong. I'm going to pause here because while I think that the second part of this letter definitely goes far deeper into this, for this chunk of what I wanted to highlight, I believe this is a good place to stop. So, on fairy tales and allegory, particularly how it relates to The Hobbit and perhaps what might make different from The Lord of the Rings. So, this is a glimpse into our professor's mind on the matter. There are several other points where he talks about these subjects, and I will be covering them in later days. Have a great day, everyone. Have a great day, and be certain to not confuse allegory with significance or applicability.